Okay, welcome back to part 2. My apologies for part 1. The camera just ran out of power at the very end, at the very end, and I had to cut it short, unfortunately. But look, never mind. Here's part 2, and I just added a couple of little tiny bushes just along here, just with the brush like this, okay? And I'm now going to add some nice bright highlights to these. You can see on the photograph there, it's a very rich, warm kind of a yellow, isn't it? So I'm going to just warm that very, very slightly. I'll take my, wherever it is, small stubby brush, give it a little clean. Now let's just let me get some turpentine there. It won't be a moment. I've ran out of turpentine, so I gave my turpentine a good change there. I cleaned my brushes and cleaned my tissue, added some fresh turpentine, and here we go. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow. There's a bit of blue on that. Let's just take some cadmium yellow and let's take a touch of crimson. Now more yellow in this. I want a nice warm yellow. So there's just a touch of crimson in this. And I'm just going to pull that across there, make a nice warm yellow. Doesn't that make a nice warm yellow now? I think it does. And I'm going to bring it over here. There we go. Now I'm cleaning my brush every now and again just to keep it nice and fresh. There's a nice bright yellow here, isn't there? And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my small little brush and I'm going to add 1 or 2 small trees in there. Alright, so I'm just basically going to take some of the cadmium yellow. Now there's a little bit of green on that yellow, so let me just get a fresh piece. Cadmium yellow and a touch of the crimson, I think. And then I'm going to take a touch of white to brighten that up. Now let's see what we can do with this. We have a couple of bushes, don't we? We have 1 or 2 bushes just here. Okay, so it's just a little dab. You see, it's just, now I'll zoom in slightly, will I? I'll zoom in slightly so you can see what I'm doing a little better. How about that? Is that better now for you? Okay, let's go. Fresh cadmium yellow, touch of red. And we have another lovely little one just here. And I can see we have a couple down around the front also. I just want to add a little bit of texture to that. Now, let me just brighten my colour slightly. So I'm just taking a touch of cadmium yellow with a touch of white, and I just want to brighten some of these bushes just here and there. Okay. I'll take a touch of Naples yellow as well, and into this. Right, I'm going to just add a hint of crimson with sienna just at the back of this one because it's very warm there, isn't it? It's a lovely warm colour. Some nice warm colours going on as well. Let's bring it across here and soften everything kind of down then. So look, we have the basis of our castle in. I'm going to add colours to the castle as I go. We don't have to have everything perfect at the very beginning. Look, I'm going to add a touch of white with yellow just here and there. Look, just kind of dotted along just here and there on the castle, just brightens it slightly, you see? Just a little, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'll take this little flat brush with some burnt umber and a touch of crimson, we'll say. I'm going to just start adding the base of this little island we have here. Okay, that's all it is, it's just a little island. And I'll dampen it very slightly because it is a little dry. So I just took a tiny touch of turpentine in there. And let's just get the outline of this in here. Okay, very loosely. I'll take a hint of sienna. There's some lovely sienna colours at the back here, isn't there? Very warm sienna colours, they're lovely. They really are. And a hint of Naples yellow. You see, I'm just kind of softening some colours in. That's kind of all I'm doing really. So I put some Naples yellow, some burnt sienna here and there, just add a little bit of colour to it. You see, it's kind of hit and miss. And it just gives you a nice soft feeling, doesn't it? Now, let me just look at the camera here and make sure everything is nice and straight. Okay. Now, I'll zoom back slightly. There we go. I think that's a bit better now, isn't it? Nice and straight so you can see everything I'm doing. And let's carry across these colours. Do you hear that dog out there? Going absolutely crazy. The neighbours next door got a lovely new little dog, little puppy, and my two dogs are crazy trying to get through the fence to get at that little puppy. That's what's wrong. He's a lovely little guy. Now, but my two dogs are not happy about that. So they're out there now, sitting by the fence, trying to get through. Huh, I'll tell you something. They'll be waiting a long time. Now I'm taking a little black and some burnt sienna. So let's just go across here with this nice dark colour, fill all this in, and it comes up here. There's some trees up here, isn't there? So let's just add, let's take a touch of blue into this. So we have a kind of a dirty dark green, don't we? And let's put a suggestion of some trees just over on this side here, creeping in from that side. Okay. Let's put a touch of sienna in there. There we go. And it's very dark just down inside here. It's kind of a shadow under the bridge, isn't there? Let's just put a little shadow there. I'll put a little shadow across down here. You see, everything is just nice, kind of softening everything together, nice and gently. Right, give this a wipe on your tissue. Grab a bit of tissue, dip it into your turpentine, and let's give it a really good little wipe on that. Now we have a little bit of blue off in the distance, don't we, from that river way off. So let's just take a touch of, let's go phaylo blue with some white. And this is very far away now, so I want it nice and light but kind of soft at the same time. I'll take a touch of crimson. Let me just try that now. Yeah, that's not bad now, look. And this is only just a little tiny bit just under the bridge where you can see under one or two of the arches. So just across like that, look. There. It doesn't have to be, you know, bright blue because it's water. It can be a subtle colour. There we go. Okay, so you can see it's there, and I'll just bring this up a little on this side here just to cover that bit of white. Okay, just down like that. And sometimes even just dabbing the brush makes a big difference. You can add lots of little details to your painting, and that's what I love about painting. Little easy little dabs can create lovely suggestions, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm going to get this bridge in. I'm going to take a nice round brush now, a decent size. I'm thinking that, what else have I got now? Yeah, I have a slightly bigger one here. Size 3 round, let's go with that. And the bridge is just very, very dark colour, isn't it? It's a really dark brown, blacky kind of a brown. Let's take some burnt umber, and I'll take a touch of crimson, and I think I might take a touch of black in that as well. So with that nice watery colour, now it's not very wet, you can see, but it's nice and thin, creamy. Thin, creamy consistency, that's what I'm aiming for. And let's first go along with the top. Let's put the top in first, okay? So let's come across, and it kind of goes right across up on top of the water line, doesn't it? And it swoops back down then gently, like that. And there is one thing I want to do before I put in the rest of this on this side. I want to just add some lights to those trees. Let's take some cadmium yellow, and let's take a touch of crimson, and perhaps a touch of Naples yellow. That gives us a nice warm, bright colour, doesn't it? And let's just add little touches of light to some of those trees, just here and there, okay? Now when it gets dirty, rub your brush like that and go back into some fresh colour again. There. And let's go down underneath just very gently as well. Just a few here and there. Okay. I'll get some red and some burnt sienna. And I might just add a little warmth down around there as well. Like that. Okay, that'll do fine. And I'm just wondering, do you want me to zoom in or is it okay? Will I just zoom in very, very slightly? And you can see what I'm doing with the bridge. There. Now, is that better? I think that's a bit better, isn't it? So my lovely dark colour, little bit of brown, bit of red and a little bit of black. Nice and thin. Let's get this nice top of the bridge in. And of course it's wet into wet, you see, so it's going to be kind of going into that colour underneath. You can see. Now you can leave it dry if you wish, but I love working wet into wet like this. Okay, it may be a little more effort, but I just love the results, I really do. One there, and we'll have one there, and let's get a bit more black. We'll have one there, and we'll have one over here. Now, I'll then just fill in the arches in between those, again using the same colours. So let's go like that and like that. So you can see how it's kind of blending in with the colour behind. Now some people don't like this type of a feeling when they're painting. I quite like it. You can always go back and kind of add to it again, you know. So I'm going to switch to a smaller brush now, and I'm taking just black with a little crimson, alright? It's a very, very rich, dark, warm colour. And I'm going to go and darken some of this. It needs to be really, really dark, okay? Really dark. I'll darken the back of some of these. And remember, it's just an impression. I'm only going for an impression. Sometimes I find if you try a little too hard, it's very, very difficult. It actually looks not as good as if you just kind of paint it very loosely. Sometimes I find that's the case. And let's go in here with a nice dark one. And we have another kind of one hidden in the bushes here. It kind of disappears into the bush, doesn't it? Now I go along the very top of that with a nice crisp dark line and straighten top of that bridge, you see? Well, there's a slight curve on top of the bridge, isn't there? Just a little bit. That's nice now, isn't it? So I'm going to take a very pointy detailed brush for this next bit. Let me see now if I got one here. I do. A very small pointy brush. And I'm going to take some of the bright colour. I'll take some sienna with some Naples yellow, I think, for this. And a nice bright colour. And I'm going to just suggest the light catching on those pillars, just here and there, look. There, a little bit there. Let me just pull that down a little, and there's an extra little piece on top where it kind of sticks out a little, I suppose. Is that what they say? just there, and just there, and then I might add a touch of that colour here and there just along the top, and that separates it from the background. Then you see, brings it forward. Now look at that. Ah, that's not bad now, is it? Well, look at that. Now I want to add a touch of light in by the castle just here and there. There's a little tiny light just catching, and again just a little tiny bit on the tip of that. So small little changes, you see, they do make a big difference. And I'll add a little touch of bright colour on the front of that, again separating that from the hills in the background, you see. There we go. Now it's coming on nicely, isn't it? So shall I zoom back now slightly? There we go. Now how about that? How about that? I want to put a little dark on those rocks just there. So I'm just going to take some black with crimson, and I'm going to darken some of this down here and there, look, see? Just kind of flicking the brush around. There's no particular way I'm doing this, I'm just kind of suggesting little darks here and there, that's all I'm doing. And the mind fills in the rest. I think it does anyway. That's what I find with a lot of my work. You know, painting a certain type of landscape, as I said before, just putting an impression of something is better than trying to actually paint it, if you know what I mean. You know, a lot of people will go to a lot of trouble to try and get something to look exactly like it should be, but you know, I just put a suggestion. That's all I do. Okay, let's add a little bit of light just to the background over there, because there's a little light being caught over there too. That just kind of draws your mind in, it just draws your eye in as well, just a little. And we put a little warmth just in front of that bridge, just to separate that again from the water. Little sienna, little Naples yellow. Okay. No, that's looking pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with that. I think now it's probably best just to leave well alone. Little suggestion of a tree trunk there, one there. Every time you glance at the photograph, then you can see little pieces that you've left out. Now that's fine. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, as I keep saying, but I think these little touches might make a difference in this painting anyhow, after I go into so much trouble. That's just a suggestion of little things there. I can see there's a little pole, tiny little pole sticking up just around there. I dare and try it, but look, come on, let's give it a go. Little bit of blue and white, and there's like an X on it then, isn't there? X marks the spot. That's where all the gold is being held, isn't that right? Now, water time. Water. Let me just add an extra touch of light just here and there on those, because I really want those catching the light. Perhaps even a hint, dare I try it, of yellow. There, perfect. Right, the water. And let's have a bit of fun with the water, yes? This is going to be fun. I'm thinking about what types of brushes I should use for the water. Either the big one or the medium one. I'm not too sure. I want to take my time with it, you know. Right, here's what we'll do. We will fill in most all of the water with the large brush, yes? And we'll use our medium one then for reflections, that type of thing. Good idea? Okay, let's try it. I'm going to dampen my brush. And let me see, now I have a very dirty palette, don't I? Let's give that a wipe. All I want is one general clean area, so with a bit of tissue, look, I'm just going to wipe the majority of the centre of that away. There, look at that nice mess now. How's that? Huh. And we have a nice clean section just in the middle that we can work on. Yes? Okay. Let's take some phthalo blue, lots of white, and I might even get some more cobalt blue for this. Where did I put it? Okay, here we are. Some cobalt. I'm really enjoying this painting now. This is a lot of fun. And it's nice to try a bit of everything in a painting, isn't it? So I have cobalt blue, a little phthalo blue with some white there. And I'm going to darken it with a little black because it's very dark on the painting, isn't it? Or on the photograph rather. It's quite dark and rich. So I might take that tiny bit of black. Let me just try this now off in the distance here first. Okay, perhaps a touch of crimson. And let's go right across now first and straighten that line off in the distance there, look. And I've even kind of softened it slightly into the hills. Now give it a wipe. And I'm adding a touch more phthalo blue into this. You know, I don't want it to be, as I was saying earlier, I don't want them to be very rich, bright colours. So I'm going to take a touch more black. Maybe make this a bit more on the grey blue side. And let's just pull across that. And I picked up some of the browns. That's lovely. That's what I want. You see, I'm picking up a little bits of the brown here and there. Okay, more cobalt blue, white. I'm going to dampen my brush because it's getting a little dry. So just a tiny bit of turpentine. Some black, little crimson, more cobalt. Yeah, that's a nicer colour now. That's a bit more grey on the warm kind of grey side. There we go, look at that. Pull that right across there. So I want to keep the colours kind of soft and natural. I don't want to go for big, bright, rich blue colours. If you understand. Because that would not complement the rest of the painting. I think it might be a little bit too rich. So I'm dampening my brush now, just tiny bits of turpentine on the corner of my brush each time. Because every time you add paint it gets very thick again. And I want this to flow nicely. So cobalt blue, little black, little crimson. Large stubby brush, pull that right across. If you're getting these brushes, by the way, you will find at the beginning they're almost too soft, but give it time, give it maybe 2 paintings and they will start bulking up. Okay? Just do that, just do bear that in mind. Now, okay, I have a nice base there now, haven't I? That's a nice base colour. You see, it's kind of soft, it's complementing everything else. But I'm going to make it very dark now coming down here. And I need to get some phthalo blue on my palette. Little phthalo blue there. And yeah, I think that's all I need. Some phthalo blue. Good dollop of phthalo blue now. Let me just move the camera very slightly for you so you can see. Now, plenty of phthalo blue. Little dab of crimson and a touch of the black. So you see, now that's a little bit blue for me. A touch more crimson, I think. And what I want to try and achieve is a little bit of distance. So the closer something comes to you, the richer and darker it's going to get. Does that make sense? So look, I'm adding lots of black now and blue right in the front here. Right across, and I'm going to soften it up into that other colour above it. So just any rich dark colour you have, put that down at the front. And it'll push everything back off into the distance. That's the way I see it, you know. I may be wrong, but that's how I kind of paint. I suppose something to bear in mind generally is if a colour is rich and bright and vibrant, it's going to look much closer to you, and if something is soft and pale is going to look further away, isn't it? So I see a lot of paintings with, I suppose a lot of people now kind of painting like Bob Ross, and they put the knife work on the cliffs or the mountains, and it's real strong colours, but they look very, very close up, don't they? They don't look like mountains that are miles and miles away, and that's because they make the colours very rich with the palette knife. So that's why I kind of adopted this method myself with the brush. It's just much softer, and you can get much nicer control of your colours. Now the Bob Ross knife kind of paintings are fantastic. They really, really are. But I prefer something a little more natural like this, to be honest. Right, there we are. So we have a nice rich dark colour down at the bottom now, don't we? I'm going to take a touch of brown, a little bit of burnt umber into that. Just to warm it slightly. Just a little here and there. Now my brush is very dry at this stage. I'm just popping it in just here and there. Look, just a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit. And then we work on some reflections, yes? Okay, that'll do fine. Reflections. Let's have a bit of fun with some reflections. And I'm going to, now I just see one, I see one little thing there now, it's just a bit of white canvas. Just want to cover that, there we go. And I suppose I'll use my medium stubby brush just for the castle. I will reflect a little bit of that green, I think, down onto the water. Now that won't be difficult because we already have blue. So a little bit of green and a little black. And bear in mind, the reflections will always be slightly darker than what you are reflecting, okay? So let me just try this now. Okay, that's a bit green, isn't it? Let's take a bit cadmium yellow, bit of burnt sienna. There, it's a bit better, it's a bit warmer. And just very gently, I'm going to just pull some of those down very gently, look. And I'm going to even go into some burnt sienna and perhaps a touch of burnt umber just for along here, look. Just to give that a little bit of a reflection, just a little. And then I'm going to pick up some black. And there's a bit of black on this side, you see. Now, can you see what I'm doing there, yes? You can see all right. A little bit of black there. So I'm picking out the dark colours now with my brush. You can use a smaller brush if you like. I have a little bit of black reflecting from that there at the back, don't we? And a piece there. So you see, it's only just little suggestions I'm doing, little marks. Then I'll take a little bit of the brown. Perhaps a little bit of the warm brown just there. Alright. I'll add a little crimson to a bit of brown just to give that warm colour there. Yeah, that's nice now, isn't it? Right, castle. I want to give this a good clean. Just dip it into your turpentine. Give it a good rub on some tissue like this. I just want to get most of that colour off. Alright. There we go. Like that. And let's put in a suggestion of that castle colour. Now we do have a very dark side on that, don't we? So I'm going to take some black with a hint of brown, and I'm going to pull that line straight down there wherever it kind of lies, straight down like that, look. Now, how's that? Okay, a dark line, isn't it? And then I'm going to start adding some of the light to that with my medium brush. I'm going to take some, now it's going to be darker, so I'm going to take some sienna with some Naples yellow, I think, first. Let me just try that. That's a bit brighter now, so more sienna. The sienna will give it that darker shade. Now you can see I picked up some blue there, so I'm going to just give my brush a wipe on some tissue. Take off that colour, and then go back into your sienna with a touch of the Naples. You see? And let's go pull that straight down like that. I'm going to go slightly darker on one side, I think. Yeah, I think I will actually. I'll go slightly darker on one side. Soften it across. And we have a little extension on the edge there, don't we? Let's put that in. Okay, again, I'll add a bit of burnt sienna to that. And I'm going to add some more dark into the back of that one here. Okay. And then I'm going to take my little round brush, let's go for the small one actually, and I'm going to reflect some of those darks. So this little window thing that we have here, let's put some of that in here, just a little suggestion. And we have one or two little windows there. And we have all sorts of little bits and bobs going on up the top. I'll darken that dark side again just a little. Okay. Alright, you see, I'm just kind of messing around with it, that's all. I'll suggest this little bit of a roof back here. And we also have a little nice bright tree in the front there. I want to reflect some of that. That's quite nice. So I'll just put a little green. And just dab a little green there for that. And I'll dab a little with this one. So I'm just trying to represent, you know, in not too much detail what's going on, what it's reflecting. So I'm going to darken this just there. Now I think I'll leave it, and I will just take a soft blender brush. Let me find a nice soft one now. Okay, I'll go with this. I'm going to just pull those very gently downwards. Okay, now very, very gently. Just kind of skimming over the canvas, you see? Pull it all down. There we go. And then pull everything straight down in a straight line downwards. And then what I'm going to do is give this a wipe, and I'm going to go gently across it like this. Okay, and then pull the opposite way. And that softens everything then together nicely. Isn't that lovely? Now, I suppose it makes sense that we should maybe add a little reflection from the bridge, if you wish. Will we try it? Come on, let's try it. Very loosely, look. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have to get our little curves. Now I'm going to put the top kind of, I suppose it's not going to be that pronounced, but I'll try and get some of it in. Just a little. Then we'll have some little dark archways in around there. You see, it's just a suggestion, that's all. If you're not confident, you can just leave this out by all means. All right, don't be too worried about having to put this in. Okay? Honestly, you don't have to worry. You can just leave it as it is, just with the castle reflection, if you're happy enough with that. Okay? Now, just soften all of this together. So it's kind of disappearing in. You see, it's kind of disappearing in there then, like that. Now, I'll just add a tiny touch of highlight to the sides of these. Like so, okay? And now, let's just pull these very gently down as well. Straight down. And there's also going to be a little touch of darkness in around here, isn't there? Isn't that nice now? We also have a bit of green. Let's pick up a bit of dark green, shall we? It all helps, doesn't it? All these little touches, they do make a difference. And then let's pull across it like that. So you can see now, a nice basic reflection. Nicely done. And The final piece of resistance, pièce de résistance as they say. Let's take a palette knife and let's put some nice little ripples on this now, yes? So a little bit of white with some phaylo blue. So it's not a white ripple I'm putting on, it's a very light blue. Let me just check this now and see. Ah, there we go. And I'm just hardly touching the canvas now with this. Let's just put a little reflection across here and there, and it really breaks up, or a little ripple rather, it really breaks up the reflections nicely, doesn't it? It almost adds like an extra layer of depth to the reflection. Okay, nice and easily, see? Just have a bit of fun. And let's put a few off in the distance as well. We could kind of add a bit of a glisten to the water off in the distance. Isn't that nice? And I've had a lot of fun now with this, and thank you for the request. Next week I'm going to do some nice reflections. We'll do simple little reflections for the beginner, yes? And then take my soft brush again and very gently pull across. So you probably know this by now. Pull very gently across some of those. Not too much, I'm only just softening the edges very gently. And look at that. One thing I forgot, and you gave out to me last week because of this, and I tell you something, I learned my lesson, a bird. You all said to me, or not my last lesson, the lesson before that, I forgot to put a bird in. Silly me. I'm very silly, aren't I? So let's put a little bird in here. A bird in the sky. Now you can add little touches of details if you want. For example, look, just a little touch here and there. And it's just kind of adding an extra little interest to the painting, I suppose, you know, just catching the eye as it is, just adding little highlights and little shadows around the painting, suggesting little stones, suggesting little rocks, you know, that type of thing. It just makes it more interesting to look at, that's all it is really. But be careful not to fiddle too much, because you can fiddle too much as well. So how are we looking with that? All good? I might add a little touch of the light blue, just kind of through here and there, sort of popping through. There we go. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think? You'll be happy enough to call that finished? I think it is. Let's call it finished. I'll sign my name and we'll zoom in and see what we've done. Okay? And I'll see can I find a buyer for this. This is a nice one. I like this now. Right, here we go. Let's zoom in and see what we have created. Nice hills in the distance, look. I might even add a touch of light to some of those far off ones. Just a little perhaps. I'm happy enough with those. You could add little touches of light again if you wanted to. I kept the bushes nice and simple. You can go into more detail if you wish, or you can make it even easier by yourself. Keep it nice and simple. The castle turned out very well, didn't it? Now it looks very yellow there, but it's not as yellow. I think it's the lighting in the studio. It's just very, some of the bulbs are very yellow, if you know what I mean. You'll see when it's finished now in the final photograph. Across to the bridge. And I might even warm the bridge slightly with a bit of burnt sienna. I think, yeah, do you know what, I think I will. Let's warm it, just a little. Let's add a little sienna to that bridge, because it's just a little bit on the cool side for me. Even possibly a touch of crimson, look. Yeah, that's better now, nice and warm. Isn't that nicer now? And a little touch of crimson under this one here. There we are. Now that's nicer. And there we go. Job done. Nice simple reflections. Isn't that lovely? So I hope now you've enjoyed that. That's what I really enjoyed, I have to say. Thank you very, very much for that request. I'll be back next week with some nice, easy reflections, part 1, let's say. Go on, have a try, just take your time, simplify it. I kind of went into a bit of detail there now, but you can simplify it yourself. You can go as far as you want. I'd love to see what you're doing. Please do email me your work, stephenconway12@gmail.com. And if you want the brushes, the same email address. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you so much for all your support and going to the trouble of commenting and, you know, trying what I'm doing, trying my paintings. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Go on, have a bit of fun with this, and I'll see you next week. Okay, everyone, and happy painting. Take care. Bye bye.